So it's a bit inclement this morning. And I need to get this done anyway. So I'm getting the router open so that I can mod it to run off of 12 volt, not need to use it through the inverter. It would help if I plug the hairdryer in. As always, there's more than one way of doing things. Now, ultimately, I'd like to be able to discard this. Ultimately, I'd like to be able to discard the whole router, but my suspicion is that my 48 volt power supply and 48 volt buck converter actually doesn't provide enough juice for the boot up cycle of the dish. So at the moment, I don't want to do away with this. There's more than one way you can do this, but what I'm going to do is flip it over and solder wires on to the back of the connector here, which will feed my 12 and 48 volt into the router, and then I'll try booting the system. So let's rig this up and see how we go. So I'm going to use red for my 12 volt supply, black for my ground, green for my 48 volt supply. Just freshly tin these wires. These two here. Put it on the right pin would be a good idea. Oh, that's hot. Don't like that. Take it off and do it again. This one around from the other side. And this can go on either of those pins. Doesn't matter. They're bridged. Just grab my meter and make sure I haven't got any continuity between any of those that I shouldn't have. So for the moment, we can just slide this back into here. Might just bring this around this way. And pop the Wi-Fi board back in place. Okay, that'll be good enough for testing. Okay, so I've got it all kind of suitably jerry-rigged to be able to test it. So I can go and put this into the van now. I need to calibrate this so that it's outputting 12 volts. So I'll unplug this plug here, so I'm not powering the dish, or not powering the router until I've adjusted that to be outputting 12 volt. So this will take the feed from the van, convert to 48 for the router. This will make sure that the 12 volt is actually 12 volt. Also for the router, and then once I'm confident in that, then I can plug the dish into it and see if it works. Okay, so I've got this temporarily rigged up. Router there, all the cabling. I've got the 12 volt regulator adjusted to output 12 volts, despite the fact that the van is currently sitting at 13.3 volts. So now I should just be able to flick this switch on and the router will come up. Now, I have tested it already with the router without the dish, and the router definitely comes up. Well, so far so good. The system is attempting to get online. It's trying to figure out which way the dish is pointing, which of course is pretty much straight up because it's flat on the roof. So we'll see what happens. We could try a speed test now and see whether it is online yet. I would suspect it is online. Okay, well that's better than I was able to do with the travel router, significantly. So I think that's our answer. We now have Starlink running off of 12 volt. Okay, so I've just kind of tidied this up a bit. Cable tied the wire in so it can't go anywhere and put any strain on the board where it's soldered to. Just comes down the side and then pops out the bottom next to the Ethernet adapter for the dish. I'm doing it this way for the moment because I need to be able to keep using this router for our home internet using 240 volt. Eventually, this is kind of low priority, but eventually I'll probably design and print a new enclosure for the Wi-Fi board and the power supply gear and remove the 240 volt power supply. So just ditch this whole case altogether. But for the moment, that's not a very high priority, and I need to use it this way. So I can put the glass back on there now and plug this back in, and we can use it as our home internet. This all needs a bit more tidying up. It'll probably be a temporary solution for the time being, but it gets us up and running. So this morning I'm going to do some bitsy jobs, I think. Well, here's what I've been up to this morning. I've cut the hole for the diesel heater to fit through, and sealed that up. Now I'm waiting for the sealer to go off before I try fitting the diesel heater because I don't want to get sealer all over the place. I've chucked a bit of insulation on the wheel arches, and I've just used some foil board to create a duct for the air conditioner so that the outlet for the air conditioner feeds through into under the wardrobe here. So while I'm waiting for sealer to go off, I think I'm going to get started on the bits of acacia that are going to form the edges of these shelves, and also be the table. was a bit damp today, but I knew that it was going to be damp today, so I've kind of been planning for it. Got some errands to run today, but also got some inside things to do. So I'm going to start the day working on this. I've got all the doors and drawer fronts. So I'm going to begin with setting up hinges on the overhead cupboard doors. So one of my kids gave me this hinge drilling jig for my birthday, which is great. I've never done these kind of hinges before, and I just figure having a jig takes the guesswork out of it, helps me to just get it right. So I've got my list of panels here, so I can double check and make sure I'm doing the correct ones. Start with this one. If I have any issues, I've got spare, I can cut a new board, but I shouldn't need to. The way it works is you set this dial here to the dimension of the offset from the edge of the panel that the hinge requires. So that's done, and then you have your Forstner bit, which is clipped into the drill, goes into there, you drill your hole, and then you also have these other two spots here, which are for drilling with a smaller drill for the screws for the hinge. So let's do one and see how it goes. Ah, that's interesting. Okay, so the screw holes on the jig don't line up with the screw holes on the hinge. So I'm just going to have to manually drill them. So I think what I'll do is I'll get the square and square up off the side of the panel to make sure I get the hinge straight. Alright, one door done. I do actually want to go around and just put an arris on the edges of all the doors, and I need to also sand the edges, so I need to do that before I carry on with hinges, but proof of concept, it works, yay. Thursday morning, freshly charged batteries, a couple more cupboard doors to put hinges on, and then it'll be onto the drawer fronts. So it's a bit damp today again. I still need to get plumbing and stuff done, but I'd rather not be crawling around under the van while it's raining and water on the driveway and all that, so I'm going to carry on with doors and drawer fronts for the moment. So yeah, just more of the same. So with all the cupboard, come on, get yourself down into position first. Let's turn some lights on. So with all the cupboard doors installed now, I'm moving on to drawers. And I figured out that I need to put the catch plate in place before I put the drawer front on. I think if I try and do the catches afterwards, I'm going to come unstuck. And then I've got some 3mm ply to use as spacers, and just up against the wall there at the end. Space it off the door. The door alignment is quite good, so that comes up alright. So now my plan is I'm going to use some double-sided tape, stick the drawer face onto the drawer, and then pull the drawer out and screw in from the back and attach the catch. So let's give that a shot. Alright, that process works. We'll carry on with the other ones. So I've got all the doors and drawers done now. They're all finished and set up. Basically all the panels are done for the wardrobe and the kitchen. The toe kicks are in. So now I turn my attention to the overhead cupboard panels that need doing. You can see there above me, these panels underneath need making and fitting, so I'm going to do that. Well, that's Friday come to an end. So I've been doing a few bitsy jobs today. I did these panels under the overheads, and I've put a coat of primer on those. So you saw me doing, well, I did video myself doing those. I've also added push to open catches on the wardrobe door and on the pantry door, so that you can open the doors, because they don't have catches as such. These have a magnetic catch, so they hold the door closed. They may not be enough to keep the doors closed when you're going around corners at Mark 3, but we'll see how that goes and make adjustments if necessary. And I've also added the same on this cupboard door. I've got one on each side, mainly because I could tell already that it was going to try and rattle if I only had one. So that's done. The other thing I've been working on is plumbing. So I've got the waste plumbing for the sink down out of the sink, through the HEPVO, through the floor and into an elbow there. That's as far as I've gone with that for the moment, because I really need the waste tank, the grey tank, to be in before I go any further with that. I've plumbed the cold water down through the Thirsty Nomad filter, pegs through the floor, and an elbow and pipe out through into underneath. Again, I can't take that any further until I've got the pump mounted, which maybe will be tomorrow, and I've mounted the reservoir for the hydronic heating system sitting in there. There's no plumbing to that at this point. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day, not all of it doing van buildy stuff, but hopefully I'll get on to getting the pump and the accumulator and those various things mounted under the floor there, and maybe the grey tank. It'd be nice, but I've only got like half a day tomorrow to work on the van, so we'll see how that goes. But we're getting closer. It's a bit of a damp old Saturday afternoon. I'm not feeling especially motivated today, but there's a sense in which I don't really have time not to be motivated. So this afternoon I'm just going to spend some time putting in some strip lighting, something fairly easy, not too much brain power involved, and just a little job that needs doing. So got this LED strip light which I'm just going to put up under the overhead cabinet here. Should be fairly straightforward. This lamp has no polarity requirement. Okay. Well, that should make it easy then. I was running a bit low on heat shrink, so I got some of these connectors with heat shrink and solder all integrated. Okay, light and a USB connection to charge your phone. Melanie came out just before and was looking at what I was doing and was like, that looks like finishing work. And yeah, we're getting there. This coming week is supposed to be the final week working on the van. There's a lot to get done. I've still got quite a bit of the plumbing work that needs doing. That's going to be the kind of number one priority for early in the week, getting the plumbing finished off. There's finishing work to do. The couch cushions behind me here need to go in. The bed, need to get the bed done. There's a few bits of trim work around that need doing. So heaps to do, but the end of next week it needs to be habitable. We're planning on going away for a couple of days just to give the van a trial run and see what things we need to change or address. Thanks for joining me. That's the end of episode 26, and we'll see you again next week. Be kind. See ya.